everyone. Today I wanted to show you my swatch book that I'm using to swatch various art materials and then also to swatch some new art materials that I have purchased. These two were purchased from Jerry's Art Supplies, which are Jerry's Artarama rather. And they are a place that I have been purchasing from for a few years now, and they have great sales. They aren't always the best at carrying the products that I want, but sometimes when they have really, really super good sales, I'll take a look, and these just happen to be items that were on my wish list, so I purchased them. These here are Conte Pastels. They're in pencils. And I wanted to use these to supplement the soft pastels I have as sort of just another way to apply pastel. So I'll show you what those look like when I swatch them in here. And then these are also Conte Paris, which is, but these are Conte crayons. And these I haven't used very much, but I wanted to start incorporating them into some of my mixed media. So, so that's why I got them. So I'm going to go on now to the swatch book. I'm going to put these aside and then we'll get back to them again when I swatch them. So this is an Archer and Olive B5 notebook. I think that's the size. And I'm going to skip the first page because that has some personal information on it. So here I have an index with all of the different art supplies that I have swatched in here. And generally this paper has been doing pretty well for swatching. It's not the best for watercolor, but I've been making do. And I've had this book for a really long time. So these swatches in here, some of them are not that great because I was just learning how to use the materials. For the Copics, there's no way to, to really get those wrong in swatches. But things like how to make a watercolor swatch, I made these very early on. And let me see if I can find one of my first watercolor swatches here. So these are all mixed media supplies, various supplies. I've swatched watercolors, watercolor pencils, various pencils and charcoal, markers, that sort of thing. I've since moved away a little bit from swatching watercolors here, just because I prefer the little handmade swatches that I make on little swatch cards because it's a lot easier for me to keep track of the watercolors I have. Although I don't have a lot of my handmade watercolors swatched in that swatch book. I may go back and do that at some point, but for now, most of them just live in here. But you can see I was just kind of, so a lot of these are actually pasted mixed media paper because I had them in another notebook and then I cut them out and put them in here when I bought this. So the ones that I've cut out go back a really long time, I would say a few years. But here I was just learning how to swatch watercolors, so my swatches are not the best representation. Like here, for example, the Schminke watercolor pans that I swatched, they don't really showcase the watercolor very well. As I went on, I definitely learned. Like these are a little bit better, the Kuretake watercolor pans, that was a little better, but this is really just a catch-all for the majority of the art supplies that I have. I actually have a separate book, and there's some that I still need to fill out here. I have a list of things that I need to swatch of things that I have. And a lot of my acrylic paints are in another swatch book. Acrylic paints and inks are in a separate book. So I'll show that again at some point, or I'll show it for the first time rather at some point. So I'm gonna find a blank page. And these are pastels. I have some pastels swatched in here, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a problem of them rubbing off. And again, these were swatches from fairly early on, and I didn't really know how to handle the supplies. And what I really should have done is sprayed these with some sort of fixative, not for your teeth, fixative is what I meant to say, fixative so that they would stay as much as possible on their little swatch and not rub off like some of these have. But I probably will do that for these that I'm going to do today because they are pastels and they do rub off. Okay, so here's a blank page. I'm going to go ahead and start here. And it doesn't look like I've numbered them yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm up to 86 and 87. 86 and 87. And this is just a Copic multi-liner in a 0.7. And I keep this dedicated to this notebook so that I can label things in here. I'm going to move the bookmark out of the way, and I'm going to do the watercolor, or I'm sorry, the pastel crayons or the pastel pencils first. So I'm going to label them up here. I'm going to call these pastel pencils, even though they are calling them pastel crayons on the label. That way I will know what I'm working with when I get it. So I'm just going to take off this. I took off the plastic packaging around so it wouldn't be a big hassle to get that open. So I'm just going to prop that up there. And now whites. Whites are tough. I don't always swatch the whites. I will this time just to see if it actually works. Actually, you can see a little bit. And one of the issues with pastels is that it creates a lot of dust. So I will blow that off each time after I do that. Let's see, does this have, I think these are just numbered. They don't have color names. Let me make sure. Yes, so I believe that this 013 here, and you can see it better on the other colors, like this is 009. I think that's the color number. So I'm just gonna say 013, and then go down the line. They'll get a little bit better. You'll be able to see them better, obviously, when I do more solid colors. And these are going to work great for what I want them for. Basically, I want them to create harder edges when I do my pastel drawings, paintings, because it's a little bit harder to get into fine detail and create sharp lines if your pastels have been used for a while and don't have hard edges anymore. Okay. Well, you can even see it's when I'm blowing it, it's smearing. This one's 001. And I'm actually going to go one row over here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'm going to do one more on this row, and then I'm just going to do 3 across, given the number of pencils there are here. Okay. This one is 017. And now I'm going to start another row. Oh no, well that's not good. Well, you know, maybe that's one of the reasons why these were on sale. So now I'll have to sharpen this one again, but I may try to use that tip still, so I'm going to leave that in there. And I may have been pressing too hard. That's the kind of thing that happens when you're recording video. Your pencils sometimes break. I don't think I was pressing too hard. I think that was probably just already broken. 2. And these are normally pretty expensive, but they, like I said, they were on deep discount when I got them. So maybe they knew they had been jostled around or something like that in their stock. And now I'm going to be finding pastel dust on my desk for years to come. And I'll be like, where did this come from? Why am I getting this on myself? Okay, so I'm going to go one over again. And there's another broken one. Yeah, that's not good, folks. I wonder how much of the leads are broken inside as well. Well, I'm not really doing Conte Paris any favors here, am I? All right. And pastels is one of those mediums that I've only dabbled in, and I'm trying to get more into and learn some techniques with it. Because I really like charcoal, and when I was in college I actually worked with charcoal a lot and did a lot of figure drawing, and I love the texture of charcoal, and pastels are very similar to charcoal in their texture and their dust producing qualities. You actually, if you're going to be doing pastel work with soft pastels for any length of time, you probably should wear a mask. Okay, so that's those. I'm going to close that tin up. Actually, I don't need to put that back around anyway. I'm just going to put it down in my art room. So this one should be the same as far as just pulling off the label. No, it's being a little difficult. I'm going to pull that off. Oh, it's because it's attached. Okay. And then this is the Conte crayons, and there are 3 layers of them all the way around. So I'm gonna, let's see what the colors are before I decide where I want things to go. Okay, so we have lighter ones up top, sort of mid-range in the middle, and then darker on the bottom. Okay, so I'll start with the middle, and then I will label these. Going to call them Conte crayons. And I think there's 12, no, there's 18. There's 18 of these, so I will need a little bit more space, but they're smaller. Okay, and these actually have a cover on them. I'm just going to take the individual drawer out. Take that plastic cover off and then put it back on when I'm done. I'm definitely gonna have to wash my hands after this. So I'm doing the white again because it did show up a little bit on the other paper. These are a little harder than the pastel pencils, and I don't see any. Oh wait, there's a number on the stick themselves. Let's see. Let's see if that's. Is the 12 the number? Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to label these with their number again. And they definitely have some tooth. This one is 04. I'm going to move this down a little bit so you can see that better as we go down. And how I plan to use these is to use them in mixed media and then make them permanent on the page by putting an acrylic medium over them so that they don't continue to smear on the page. So this is 63. And I think what I'll do is I'll just go all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space here at the bottom. That way I can do 3 rows for the 3 drawers here. It's 12. And this is the last one here. And a lot of times I'll use soft media, kind of like a soft pastel or something in mixed media by, for example, I'll rub it over a texture so that you can see the outline of a texture that I have on the page, something of that nature. It's kind of hard to explain without actually showing you. Someday I will do a, oh, okay, there's the plastic piece. I got stuck inside. Someday I'll do a multimedia or a mixed media piece on the channel. Okay, and this one is 11. I'm going to turn these this way. It's not as exciting to see the colors when they're just numbered. You do get to see what these colors look like, but it's sometimes fun to have fun color names, but not for Conte. They just give numbers. And you'll see for these Conte crayons, you can get some really sharp edges going back and forth because the crayon itself is definitely scratchier and more compact than the pastel pencils. So if any of you have worked with pastels and know of any good classes, online classes, I would love to hear because I would like to learn more. I've taken some Skillshare classes. Skillshare is actually a great, I'm relatively new to Skillshare, but, and it's kind of hit or miss, the classes are, but the classes that I've taken for the most part have been really great. Okay. And then I'm going to put the plastic back over that one. Put it back in the drawer. And what I also could do to protect the color here on the page is I could put a layer of wax paper or something in between, but I probably won't do that now. With this, I might do that off camera though. Okay, this one is 02. And again, I'm going to move that way because that's the way they're numbered. Oh, sorry. That is actually 01. It's the wrong way around. '07. So it looks like we have an 01. Well, I don't know if 001 is the same as 01, but the colors are definitely similar for these two. So what I did want to do is try and get colors that were sort of coordinating like that so that I could use the same color in one media as the other. At least for some colors. Browns are usually pretty good. I like neutrals for backgrounds and things for mixed media. Okay, 20. And I'm trying not to breathe in when I'm blowing these off. I'm trying to breathe out rather than breathe in. And then of course the handy dandy black. And I'm really, yeah, it is 09. So I'm guessing that the numbering convention is the same, although this must be a different white, which makes sense because 12 versus 13, this looks a little creamier white. You probably can't see it very well in the camera, but this is more of a brighter white, which you probably can see a little bit more. Okay, so that's it for the swatches. And that's it for me showing you my swatch book. I'm gonna blow off whatever dust is left over here and put my pen back, and then I'm going to be washing my hands, although it's not too bad, not too bad. With soft pastels it's way worse, where you would have a whole lot of pigment on your hands afterwards, because basically pastels are just pure pigment. Okay, take those off. All right, that's it for today, and hopefully I've inspired you to create your own swatch book. What's really great about this book is I quite frankly don't reference it all that often, but when I do, it is incredibly helpful. Sometimes it's just me going to check to see if I have a color before I go and buy it again, because I'm often, forgetting what I have. So it's good to keep an inventory so that I actually use what I have. And also, it's just really great to have swatches of things, so you'll see what they look like on the paper when you use them. So I use them that way a lot too. So if I'll have, say if I were gonna use this particular crayon, I would come in here and look and see what it looks like before I would use it, because that will give me an indication of what it's gonna look like on the page as opposed to in the crayon itself. All right, so that's it for today. Feel free to like and or subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.